Nobody's perfect, and even the least toxic people in the world have probably exhibited toxic behavior at one point or another. I know I have. That said, there is a big difference between occasionally exhibiting toxic behavior and regularly adopting the habits that all toxic people have in common. When toxic people treat others poorly, it's generally a reflection of how they feel about themselves. As Joyce Martyr, LCPC, explains in her post for Psych Central, it's important to realize that toxic people are often unconsciously making you feel how they feel about themselves. In other words, it is more about them than it is about you. Even if you realize this, though, relationships, romantic or otherwise, with toxic people can be so stressful and confusing that your mental health ends up really suffering from them. This is why it's so important to know how to spot a toxic person so you can keep your distance from them. It may sound cold, but it's crucial to your overall well-being. Take it from someone who's been there. If you consistently excuse the habits of toxic people, then when you finally do distance yourself from them, your mental health and self-esteem are going to require a lot of repair. Fortunately, spotting a toxic person is pretty easy if you know which habits to look out for. 1. They don't listen. Toxic people are bad listeners. Often, toxic people make a habit of talking more than they listen. But I've also known toxic people who would simply tell me to shut up or stop talking whenever I was trying to have a serious conversation with them about something that was bothering me. It's actually a very common habit of toxic people, and you should neither exhibit it yourself nor put up with it from others. 2. They're sarcastic all the time. If you're as big of a fan of Chandler Bing and Lorelai Gilmore as I am, then you're probably aware that a little sarcasm can be downright hilarious. That said, I'm sure you also know that sarcasm can easily turn excessive and hurtful too. I think we've probably all been guilty of taking our sarcasm a little too far at one point or another. But for toxic people, hurtful, condescending sarcasm is a daily habit rooted in anger, distrust, cowardice, and a fear of expressing their own feelings. As Psychology Today put it in their post on stopping sarcasm, sarcasm is psychologically rooted in anger, distrust, and cowardice. People using are angry or frustrated, don't trust the other person or themselves to pull off speak directly, and are often afraid to take the risk to express their true feelings. What's worse is, in my experience, toxic people are so accustomed to communicating with hateful sarcasm that they fail to see just how much damage they're doing. In fact, every time I've called out a toxic person for being sarcastic toward me, they've responded in anger and/or told me I was being too sensitive. If this happens to you, know that you're not being too sensitive. Excessive, hurtful sarcasm is not a healthy way to communicate with a loved one. Period. 3. They blame their problems and feelings on other people. Toxic people habitually refuse to take responsibility for their lives, their problems, and even their feelings. Instead, toxic people make a habit of blaming everything unpleasant about their lives, whether it's a failing relationship or a failed test, on others. Toxic people behave this way because they're deeply wounded and have yet to deal with those wounds. As Australian psychotherapist Jodie Gale explains for Psych Central, they are not yet able to take responsibility for their wounding, their feelings, their needs, and their subsequent problems in life. 4. They lie a lot. Lying is just one more way toxic people can avoid taking responsibility for their own lives, so they do it chronically. Often, toxic people lie because they have poor self-image, but lying is also just a way to get what they want. Furthermore, if the toxic person in question is also suffering from an untreated personality disorder, lying may be a compulsion for them. People who have made a habit out of lying are probably dealing with some deep insecurity. While it's understandable to want to empathize with someone who's suffering from insecurity on such a destructive level, it also means they obviously can't be trusted. And if you think the liars in your life are only lying to other people and not to you, think again.